Today, we're tuning into the fascinating methods of musician Lee Barry, specifically how he weaves historical elements into his, well, sonic creations. We've gathered some really interesting material looking at his creative process.
Yeah, things like his background, right?
Exactly. The impact of his personal history, his deep dives into historical events, even tiny details, and his, distinctive use of specific dates.
Okay.
So our mission today is to really get under the hood and understand how Barry transforms history into these immersive musical experiences he crafts.
Yeah, and what's immediately striking, I think, is the foundation of his work.
Yeah.
It's not just about grand historical narratives like you might expect.
Right.
It's deeply intertwined with his own memories and the unique character of specific places, all viewed through this historical lens, which suggests his relationship with the past isn't passive at all. It's a very active and personal kind of engagement.
Exactly. It's like he's not just, learning about history and then writing a song about it. He seems to be mentally inhabiting these moments.
Inhabiting, that's a good word for it.
Connecting his own life and experiences to these larger historical currents. Our sources highlight how he often anchors songs to specific dates.
Right, specific dates.
Sometimes big historical events, sometimes even just like iconic photographs. It really underscores this idea of how our individual small moments are all kind of connected to the broader sweep of history.
And it's not solely the monumental stuff either, the headline-grabbing events.
Yeah.
There's also this marked sensitivity to environmental details, the overall mood of a particular era. It's about trying to grasp what it felt like to be there,
It's a sensory experience.
Yeah, the sensory experience of that specific time. And this level of detail, I think, is really key to understanding how he constructs these truly immersive sonic worlds.
Okay, let's unpack his process a bit more then, starting with the influence of his background. It seems Lee Barry isn't just a casual observer.
No, definitely not.
Our sources point to his history as a diarist, someone deeply involved in documenting both his own life and broader public events. That seems pretty fundamental to his musical approach.
Absolutely. That ingrained habit of documenting, of meticulously observing the nuances of his own life and the world around him, it naturally extends to how he engages with history.
Right.
He's already in this mode of recording and reflecting. The sources suggest this background fosters a nuanced, immersive, and reflective approach that effectively bridges the personal and the historical. It's not just about reciting historical facts. It's about feeling the echoes of the past resonating, right now in the present.
Right. So building on that personal engagement, he then takes these historical events and uses them as genuine inspiration, almost like conceptual frameworks for his compositions.
Exactly. Frameworks.
It's not just a backdrop. It seems like it's the actual starting point. He'll select a specific date, often linked to a significant historical moment. That famous photograph keeps coming up.
Yeah, it does.
And then he really digs into the specifics of that moment.
And what's fascinating here is how that single specific date functions as a focal point.
Okay.
It's almost like selecting a single frame from a film and then building an entire sonic environment around it. The sources mention how he uses the minute details, the prevailing atmosphere, the emotional weight of that event to shape pretty much every aspect of his music.
Everything.
Yeah, the overall mood, the lyrical content, even the fundamental structure of the song itself.
And it goes even deeper, doesn't it? He's not just considering the event in isolation.
No.
But also the time of day it occurred, the specific weather conditions, the broader cultural context surrounding it. It's like he's trying to reconstruct the entire sensory experience of that particular moment.
Totally. And then he sometimes incorporates actual archival audio or field recordings from that specific era to really, enhance that sense of authenticity.
That inclusion of archival material is such a powerful technique, isn't it?
It really is. It's like directly inserting a fragment of the past into the present sonic landscape.
Yeah.
It adds this undeniable layer of authenticity and can be incredibly evocative for us as listeners. As the sources point out, his music truly becomes a form of oral storytelling.
Oral storytelling. I like that.
Connecting us to the past through sound in a way that simply recounting facts, well, it never could.
So how does this translate into his actual songwriting? It sounds like there are several key methods he uses to incorporate these historical details. The first one that really stands out is this idea of anchoring songs to specific events or dates, like you said, focal points. It's like he's hanging the entire musical narrative on this one historical point.
Precisely. By choosing a particular moment, whether it's a widely recognized historical event or something more personal maybe, he establishes this solid foundation.
A foundation.
For both the narrative and the overall atmosphere of the song. The emotional and factual context of that specific event then really permeates the whole musical composition.
Then there's this incredible attention to detail, embedding environmental and temporal details. It's not enough to just say, oh, this happened in the 1930s.
Right, it's much more specific.
He seems to want you to almost feel the temperature, hear the specific sounds of the city at that time, understand the dominant cultural mood. It's like he's painting a sonic picture with these very small, very specific details.
And this is where his work truly becomes immersive, I think.
Yeah.
By carefully weaving in these sensory details, the time of day, the specific weather conditions, the cultural context, he crafts a much richer and more believable soundscape.
Believable, yeah.
It allows the listener to connect with the historical moment on a much more visceral level. When we say sonic landscapes, we're talking about music that truly evokes a specific sense of place and time through these textures and melodies.
And I found this next part particularly interesting. Layering personal and collective history.
Yes.
It's not solely about the major historical events out there. He's also incorporating his own diary entries, his personal memories from around those times.
And weaving them all together. It creates this really layered effect in his storytelling, where the personal and the public narratives just kind of intersect.
That layering is absolutely key to his nuanced approach. It prevents the music from simply presenting history as, a series of detached events.
Right, like a textbook.
Exactly. By connecting his own experiences and reflections to these broader historical moments, he makes the past feel more immediate and relatable. It's a way of illustrating how history isn't just something that happened over there and back then, but something that continues to resonate within our own individual lives.
And then, of course, there's the use of archival material and field recordings, which we've touched on.
Right, we mentioned that.
But it's worth reiterating how that adds another layer of authenticity, literally bringing the sounds of the past into his music.
Yeah.
And the ultimate aim, it seems, is to transform this history into what our sources describe as sonic storytelling.
There it is again. To essentially score these historical moments and capture both the factual information and the underlying emotional core of what transpired.
Exactly. It's about going beyond just recounting events and actively attempting to capture the feeling of that specific moment in time through sound. It's almost as if he's creating soundtracks for historical snapshots.
Soundtracks for snapshots. Okay. Now let's delve a little deeper into his use of specific dates. It sounds like these aren't just random choices. They really drive the content of his music.
Oh, definitely.
They function almost as conceptual anchors.
Precisely. The dates aren't just chronological markers. They often serve as the initial spark of inspiration. He draws upon how a particular day is marked or remembered. The specific associations and connotations that are inherently linked to it.
And it's not just about major anniversaries, is it? Our sources give that really insightful example with Ansel Adams' Moonrise in Hernandez.
Oh, right, the photo date ambiguity.
Yeah. The uncertainty surrounding whether the photograph was taken on Halloween or the following day actually becomes a creative springboard for Barry.
Which is fascinating.
He's playing with that ambiguity to influence the mood and the lyrical content of the music, really considering the time, the setting, even the weather around that specific moment.
That example perfectly illustrates his creative process, I think. He takes what might seem like a minor detail, the uncertainty, the date, and uses it to unlock a much deeper exploration of that specific moment.
Right.
It demonstrates his willingness to engage with the nuances and even the ambiguities inherent in historical accounts.
And then there's this idea of embedding temporal and environmental details within that specific date. We even have an example of him using a daily weather report by David Lynch.
Oh, yeah, I remember reading that.
At the very beginning of a piece, and then intentionally aligning the music's airy synthesizer sounds with the actual weather conditions in Los Angeles on that particular day.
That's just a remarkable level of detail.
Isn't it? It's such a specific and almost tactile way of connecting the music to a precise moment in time.
It really is about grounding the music in a very specific reality, almost like stating, On this precise day, at this exact time, under these particular weather conditions, this is the feeling I'm aiming to evoke.
Hmm.
And the choice of, say, light-flowing synth sounds, maybe with specific reverb or delay, might sonically mirror the feeling of a breezy or overcast day, creating an almost subliminal connection for the listener.
And it goes beyond simply setting a scene, right? He's actively scoring these moments in time.
Yes, scoring them.
Treating a date almost like a scene from a film.
Mm.
He's considering the historical context, the prevailing emotional tone, even the architecture or geographical features associated with that specific time and place, and then embedding all of that into the arrangement and overall production of the music.
It's a truly holistic approach. He's not just thinking about the auditory elements. He's considering the entire context surrounding that specific date, the visual aspects, the emotional weight, the historical significance, and then translating that multifaceted experience into an oral form.
And finally, there's this concept of reflecting on the passage of time.
Okay.
He sometimes layers different time periods within a single piece, referencing how a particular place or event might have looked or felt at different dates throughout history.
Ah, interesting, like showing change over time.
Exactly. He might juxtapose historical and contemporary perspectives by using, say, archival audio alongside modern instrumentation, for instance.
That layering of different temporal layers really adds a significant depth to his work. It's a way of illustrating how the past isn't static, but rather continues to evolve and interact with the present. It creates a sense of dialogue between different moments in history. Do you think this constant interplay between past and present is part of what makes his music feel so resonant?
That's a great question. It definitely makes you think about how the past is always informing the present, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And while our sources don't provide, an exhaustive list of every single historical event that has inspired Lee Barry's most well-known songs.
No, probably impossible to list them all.
Right. But it's clear that this deep engagement with history, these meticulously chosen specific dates, these carefully observed environmental details, it's all absolutely central to his creative DNA.
For sure.
We know his Music for Places series is directly tied to specific locations and their history, often linked to the precise moment a particular photograph was taken. So, while we might not have a definitive greatest hits list with historical footnotes,
Right.
the overall pattern of his inspiration is quite evident.
Yes, it's less about memorizing a list of specific inspirations and more about understanding the fundamental principles that guide his creative process.
Exactly.
The key takeaway is his consistent drawing on the intersection of historical events, deeply personal memories, and the unique atmosphere inherent in specific dates and places.
So, to kind of bring it all together, Lee Barry employs this really distinctive method, fusing his own personal experiences and his incredibly detailed observations with these broader historical contexts. He masterfully uses specific dates, environmental details, and even fragments of archival sound to craft these incredibly rich and evocative musical narratives.
And the real aha moment for me listening to all this is recognizing that Barry's music offers us a unique pathway, a way to experience history on this profoundly personal and sensory level.
Yeah, sensory is the word.
It transcends simply reading facts in a book. It's about capturing the very feeling, the tangible atmosphere of a specific moment in time through the power of sound.
Absolutely. It moves beyond just the factual account and really tries to tap into the underlying emotional essence of a particular moment in history.
Yeah.
So for you, the listener, as you navigate your day, maybe I encourage you to consider how your own personal memories and experiences intersect with broader historical moments.
Interesting thought.
What kind of soundtrack might accompany those intersections in your own life? It's a truly fascinating thought to contemplate.